It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine, Rugged Point Lodge on Vancouver Island, and Northwest Fishing Guides out of our hometown here in Everett. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Welcome to another Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. We've got a great one for you. We're going to be talking to Austin Mosier today. He's a fishing guide and the owner of Austin's Northwest Adventures, LLC. He'll be telling you at the bottom of the hour about trophy kokanee fishing at Eastern Washington's Lake Roosevelt, and then at the end of the show, he'll tell you about trophy walleye fishing on the Columbia River, not near the Tri-Cities, but near Wenatchee. But first, let's talk about what's hot and what's not in the Pacific Northwest. Clamming is hot in Puget Sound on 4 out of 5 beaches. According to the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, clam populations at Fort Flagler State Park, Freeland County Park, the Point Whitney Tidelands, and Squim Bay State Park are in good shape, and seasons at these 4 beaches has been extended. All 4 of them are open as of January 1st and will remain open into spring. The one exception to this good news is West Penn Cove in Island County, where the Little Neck clams are not doing as well. That season has been reduced and won't open up until June 1st. This applies not only to clams, but also to oysters at Fort Flagler, Freeland County Park, and Squim State Park, and shortening the season at West Penn Cove. And on the ocean beaches, a new racer clamming opportunity has opened up in Olympic National Park. Again, according to the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife, for the first time since 2012, Kalaloch Beach is tentatively scheduled to open on January 8th and 9th for digging. Located inside the park, the beach hasn't been open the last few years for razor clam digging due to a low abundance of clams. However, the population is now high enough for digs this year. Additional digs at Kalaloch will be announced in the coming months. Be sure to check the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife website before you go to make sure marine acid levels are not an issue at this beach. It being the holidays, we don't have any creel check reports to share with you from our state Fish and Wildlife Department, but at northwestfishingreports.com, I can share occasional schools of squid have made life interesting for those jigging for them in the Seattle area, to include the pier at Seacrest Park, where squidders reported cold, then hot squidding and buckets containing several pounds of calamari. And one Christmas Eve angler reported catching a steelhead and seeing a couple of others caught as well on the Skykomish River. His secret weapon, a lime, green, and black 1/8 ounce jig with some tuna scent on it. On the hunting side of the house, much of the water in eastern Washington is frozen at this point, but the folks at Mardon Resort report great field hunts for both Canada geese and mallards. You'll want to dress warm for these hunts, but the hot shooting you're likely to enjoy makes it worthwhile. Find out more at ducktaxi.com. And that's what's hot and what's not this week in the Pacific Northwest.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabicraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabicraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabicraft.com.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands. We've helped ban the use of drones for hunting. We help repair wildlife corridors in key riparian areas. We speak up against illegal ATV use. Please join this dynamic conservation group. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the US of A and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
Happy New Year! Do you have a resolution to maybe buy a fishing boat this year? Well, you're in luck because with the new year, it's boat show season. That's right. If your New Year's resolution is to buy either a new boat or maybe your first boat, you'll want to check out a boat show near you this winter because the dealers typically have some screaming deals for you and can often work out financing on the spot. A couple of boat shows coming up in the next few weeks in the states where we broadcast include the Los Angeles Boat Show, January 19th through the 22nd. It's at the Fairplex in Pomona, and there's a lot of activities for the kids on tap, as well as an NFL game day experience, in addition to hundreds of boats on display. The Nashville Boat Show is also taking place the 19th through the 22nd. This one's at the Music City Center, and it's featuring some brand new recreational boats from Yamaha. I thought they just made wave runners and boat motors on the marine side, but now they are manufacturing 19 to 21-foot boats too. There will be a boat show in Spokane at the end of the month. The Spokane Boat Show will start January 28th, run through February 4th at the County Fair and Expo Center in Spokane Valley, and the Treasure Valley Boat Show will occur at Expo Idaho in Boise, February 11th through the 15th. Last but not least, the Anchorage Boat Show will be going on February 17th through the 19th at the Downtown Convention Center, and in addition to seeing lots of boats, you can sign up for a chance to win a $1,000 boatload of cash. Now, I know a lot of our listeners live in the Pacific Northwest, and you may be wondering why I didn't mention the Portland Boat Show or the Seattle Boat Show. Don't worry, we'll be telling you plenty about both of these great events during the next hour. Peter O'Loughlin will join us to tell you about the 57th Annual Portland Boat Show, which you will find at the Expo Center at the north end of town between January 11th and the 15th. And Kelly Hawley with Tom and Jerry's Boat Center out of Mount Vernon will tell you about the Seattle Boat Show that his dealership will exhibit at between January 27th through February 4th. The Seattle Boat Show is billed as the West Coast's biggest boat show and is so big it takes place in two places. One is at CenturyLink Field, home of the Seattle Seahawks, and the other location is an on-the-water display at Chandler's Cove at Lake Union. It's not just dealers who exhibit at these boat shows. There are manufacturers too, and one of the boat companies that will be there is West Wind out of Vernon, BC. They manufacture Kingfisher aluminum boats, a brand that is becoming very popular among anglers, and they also make some other brands too. Mark Delaney, Director of Sales and Marketing for Kingfisher Boats, will tell you more about what new boats they will have for you to see at both the Seattle and Portland boat shows. In case you were wondering, we will talk about some things besides boats over the next hour. Montana National Park is struggling with its newfound popularity, and officials in Nevada are offering a $18,000 reward for the capture and conviction of whoever killed 8 mule deer in September and left them to rot. Finally, we'll be talking to Jeff Mullins with Allegiance Ammunition out of Virginia. They make some really interesting rounds for specific military, tactical, self-defense, and hunting situations. Trust me, you've never heard about ammo like they are producing in .223 caliber as well as 9mm and .380. But before we talk about boat shows during this edition of America Outdoors Radio, let's talk fishing. And let's talk fishing in a very specific area. We're going to Northern California, the Sacramento River, between Chico and Redding. There's some really good opportunities for you this winter. With us here to tell you more about it is Seth Mitchell, the owner of Seth Mitchell's Guide Service. Seth, welcome to America Outdoors Radio.
Hey, John. How you doing?
Doing good. So, winter fishing here. I think everyone expects trout and steelhead, but why don't you tell us about the trout and steelhead in the Sacramento River? What kind of fishery is this in the winter months?
Well, this is probably one of the best on the West Coast. I mean, we have a lot of opportunities for not only drift boat fishing, but jet boat fishing, too. This time of the year, it's a little difficult to play because you have to worry about the weather conditions. The river adjusts itself quite often, and sometimes we have no control over that due to the rains. But when the river does clear, the fish are always active, and there's an abundance of food in the Sacramento River, and it's a great fishery, and it's a wonderful place to come out and not only catch fish, but get a little scenic glimpse of the mountaintops of Northern California up here, too.
Sounds fantastic. The steelhead, are they summer runs or winter runs, and what's the average size?
Steelhead fishing, there's what we consider steelhead fishing up here is actually the ocean run steelhead that come in the winter months, usually from late September all the way into January, and those fish come and follow the fall run, the late fall run salmon, and also the winter run salmon, which is actually a population that's dwindling a little bit up here in Northern California. But those fish usually come in, and they'll feed right behind those fish that are spawning. And usually, there's on any given day, there's probably 4 or 5 decent-sized steelhead. And usually on the Sacramento River, we would say a decent-sized steelhead anywhere from the 2-pound range all the way up to the 8-pound range behind these beds that the salmon lay in. The fly fishermen really enjoy the upper sections of the Redding area. There have been a lot of changes with the regulations, so it's very important to make sure, looking ahead, plan a trip with that in mind. The regulations are changing because of the decline of the winter run up there in the Redding area.
Sure.
But from Redding all the way down to Red Bluff, it's pretty much wide open, and there's a lot of area to cover on the river, a lot of structure, a lot of riffles, and a lot of areas where you can just get in there and really find pockets of fish and target them. And then, of course, with drip boat fishing, you can go right into those areas nice and quietly, target those fish, and keep hitting the same spot. In the jet boats, there's plenty of room out there, and it's easy to get in and out of, maneuvering in and out of some of the areas that we have on the river. It's a very wide river, compared to the Trinity River, which is just west of us. I mean, it's probably 4 to 5 times the size of that river. We have a lot of resident steelhead. And resident steelhead, the Department of Fish and Game considers anything over 16 inches a resident steelhead.
Interesting.
So we have resident steelhead fishing all year long. Trout fishing all year long. And we fish trout and resident steelhead all year long on the Sacramento River. Some of the best times are winter all the way up into the spring, and we catch them all throughout the summer. Size range is usually about 14 to 18 inches. A lot of 16-inch fish caught. But it's just a really exciting fishery. I mean, you get a lot of good scenic views out there, and you're in areas where you're not going to see a boat maybe for a good mile of river. We just don't get the traffic that we do, and we have a lot of facilities up here where you can launch boats and pull out that are available to the public, and just very few private ones too. Yeah, good fishery. Great fishery up here.
All right. Well, Seth, we are running out of time, and we didn't even get to mention the bonus fishery that's available there in the winter months, smallmouth bass. That's right. You can catch steelhead, trout, and smallmouth bass in the same day. If you want to find out more, go to Seth's website. It's SethMitchellsGuideservice.com. That's SethMitchellsGuideservice.com, or give him a call. The number to call is 530-515-5391. That's 530-515-5391, or go to his website, SethMitchellsGuideservice.com. Plan your trip to the Sacramento River. Seth, thanks for telling us about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Hey, thanks, John, and I hope everybody gets an opportunity to catch up with us up here.
That was Seth Mitchell, folks, and like I said, we ran out of time there on that, but we've got a few seconds before we go into a quick break and go into the rest of the show. And I was really interested by the fact that you have a steelhead fishery, a trout fishery, a salmon fishery, and oh yes, a smallmouth bass fishery too. And Seth was telling me off the air that what they'll do is they'll fish for these smallmouth bass at the feeder creeks that come into the river, and very good fishing even in the winter. So you can actually have a trifecta of trout, steelhead, and bass. And on top of that, at certain times of year, you can fish for stripers and shad too. The Sacramento River sounds like a fantastic fishery. I know I want to check it out, and I hope you get a chance to do so too.
Limit out with Kingfisher welded sport fishing boats, the fastest growing brand of heavy gauge welded aluminum boats in the Pacific Northwest. There are 4 new exciting models for 2017. The popular Falcon model is deeper and wider, and walleye anglers will love the 18-foot Warrior. If you want to step up your game in the saltwater, check out the new 22-foot Escape Hardtop and the 23-foot Coastal Express. Fish the good times with Kingfisher welded sport fishing boats. We understand because we fish too.
Master Marine in Mount Vernon, Washington specializes in fishing and fun. We offer 7 brands of boats, including Osprey, Sea Sport, Sea Dory, Tomcat, Lund, Weldcraft, and Thunderjet. We also offer Suzuki, Yamaha, and Mercury motors. In other words, no matter what you're fishing for, we've got the boat for you. Drop by Master Marine at 330 East Blackburn Road in Mount Vernon to see what's on the lot, or go online to mastermarine.com. That's mastermarine.com.
Sometimes it's okay if you're loud. Sometimes it's best if you're not. Silent Strike offers the quieter performance. Silent Strike is the world's only functioning .223 subsonic ammunition. When you need both performance and stealth, no matter the situation, Silent Strike is the best performance you'll never hear. Find out more at allegianceammo.com.
Alaska Fish on Charters has 4 saltwater boats and 5 riverboats, along with the best guides to run them. We've been in business for over 24 years fishing the Kenai Peninsula waters. I guarantee great prices and smiles on your faces when you leave the Great Alaska. We fish king salmon, red salmon, silver salmon, and pink salmon, and trophy trout in the Kenai River. Our saltwater boats fish for halibut, lingcod, rockfish, and salmon. Don't miss out on this trip of a lifetime with Alaska Fish on Charters.
More habitat equals more wildlife. Pheasants Forever is working hard every day to ensure there's more wildlife habitat for the future. Join the habitat leader and help create wildlife habitat in your community. To join us, go to pheasantsforever.org.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Now's the time for great winter fishing near Pateros. You can experience the fun of ice fishing at Patterson and Rat Lakes and terrific fishing for trout and walleye on Rufus Woods Reservoir. Howard's on the River in Pateros is the perfect place to set up your base camp for winter fishing adventures. Howard's on the River is next to the best restaurant in the region, and the convenience store has everything you need. Book your reservation at howardsonthe.river.com.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabycraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabycraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy-gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market, and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabycraft.com.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly publication covering fishing, hunting, and everything that has to do with the outdoors in the Northwest. Look for it at a newsstand near you or go online to nwsportsmanmag.com. Speaking of the Northwest, speaking of the outdoors, it is boat show season, and there's a big one that's going to be taking place in Portland. It's the 57th annual Portland Boat Show, January 11th through the 15th at the Expo Center in Portland. With us here to tell you more about it is Peter O'Loughlin. Peter, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How big of a show is the Portland Boat Show?
We cover indoors 250,000 square feet, roughly. We might be just a tad over that, but it basically is the three big buildings at the Portland Expo Center.
And folks, I know some of you are listening as far away as Reno, Nevada, Anchorage, Alaska, but the Portland Expo Center is huge. I'm talking huge. How many boats are we talking about here, Peter?
Oh, we have 40 dealers, I believe, this year. So that's, and they all bring multiple lines typically. So you have hundreds and hundreds of boats.
And we're not just talking fishing boats of your 17 to 21-foot variety. We're talking everything from little boats all the way up to yachts, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. The nice thing about this show is it's so inclusive because we've got some exhibitors that bring just small paddle boards because they're into the paddle sports, and all the way up to we have a 50-foot Prestige yacht coming from Sundance Yacht Sales this year, and I think we have a 35-foot Beneteau coming from Passion Yachts.
Wow. Being a fisherman, I can't even imagine being on a boat like that. That's out of my range, so to speak, out of my experience. But geez Louise, just to have the chance to walk into one of those boats, check them out, find out more about them, that's a lot of fun. On the other end of the spectrum, though, like you said, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, canoeing, that's really becoming more and more popular with folks, isn't it?
The way I look at it is it's something that people of all ages can do. You have people that are just starting out, but they want to get on the water so they can take their kids without having the expense of gasoline, the mileage to get there, where they want to go. They just put it on top of their car, and they're out the door.
Progressing, though, from that to, like, I guess you would say your typical fishing boat. And, you're there in Portland, so you've got a lot of Columbia River fishing boats, but you've also got boats that are heading out into the Pacific Ocean and the inland, the inside passage there in Canada or even up in Alaska, some of those 21 to 25-foot boats. There's a lot of well-known brands that are manufactured right in the Northwest.
And the show is very, very local in that respect. Yes, we do have a lot of the dories and stuff that can go out of like Pacific City, but we have a lot of the aluminum lines that are here and produced in the Northwest, like you've just said, that are at the show on display and to be bought. And part of that, too, is so many of these big aluminum boats, well, not necessarily even the big ones, but the ones that are medium-sized, too, that the smaller introductory families can get to, they're multiple use. They're not just fishing. You can actually tow some people behind them. You can do some of the things that you typically just don't have, me and my buddy out on some cloudy day, fishing the Columbia.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And not just towing people, but in some cases cruising places like the San Juan Islands or the Inside Passage. There's a lot of stuff you can do. And one nice thing about a boat show is all the dealers, they're bringing some screaming deals, aren't they?
Yes. Yeah, and that's a really nice point that you just made, because we've got, for those people that really just can't tip the scales to buy the boat exactly that they want, we have a nice used boat section inside the show. And we've got Twin Star, which is the credit union, that does on-site financing for us.
That's really interesting to me. You think of a boat show, you always think brand new boats. Never even occurred to me that you'd be selling used boats at a boat show with financing taking place right there. Tell our listeners a little bit more about that.
Well, it's pretty simple. We've structured a great deal with Twin Star. They are our sponsor. So they'll come in and they actually set up like an office on the floor. So if there's some questions or some of the, not only the exhibitors, but the attendees, if they're trying to work through some different deal options and what they're trying to put together as far as proper financing, they can go and get some direction and some information on what might be available or what's something they can do in the future. It may not be this show that they purchase at, but as you well know, John, boating is a lifestyle, and once you're into it, it typically lasts your whole life. So it's not about just buying that one boat. It's about maybe starting with this one and then going to another one, depending on what your needs are through your life.
And I guess we should cover one more thing here, too. We've talked about paddlecraft, we've talked about fishing boats, we've talked about yachts. Sailboats, is that something that you're going to find there, too, at the Portland Boat Show?
We do have some sailing exhibitors. We have some sail makers and some of the clubs and stuff. And then, of course, Passion Yachts is going to be there with their display of boats. But the sailboat community as a whole is not as strong as it was, at least in this market, as far as I'm concerned. But the people that are still really, really active do come to the show.
Any special attractions that folks ought to know about when it comes to the Portland Boat Show?
We've got, back this year, we've got the Junior Boat Building. So if you show up with your wife and a bunch of kids, and you can go over to Schooner Creek Boat Works, and they'll actually be able to build a wooden boat there at the show and bring it home.
Wow. I mean, are we talking like a real wooden boat, or are we talking like a little model?
That's a little model.
Okay.
Dowlings and
I was thinking I was going to be there all 4 days building a wooden boat that I was going to take home.
No, but we have some fantastic pictures of these little ankle biters dragging their boats through the buildings during the peak show hours. It's pretty fun to watch, and they have a great time.
Peter, I know that every year, there's certain exhibitors that kind of bring something special to the show. Are there any that you're excited about this year?
Well, off the top of my head, I guess I could probably think of 3 right now. England Marine and Industrial Supplies will be back at the show this year. They bring a huge assortment of accessories and gear for the show. So it's not just about staring at boats. It's all about being interactive and being able to get stuff if you already have a boat, so you can go out and add new stuff, new toys to your excitement. And then another one that I haven't really worked with these people too much, but it's called Storm Connect. So basically, it's a standalone storm locator that displays lightning strikes on a 360-degree screen.
Wow!
So it deals with bearing distance, and then one that is new this year is called Reliable Emergency Shelters. If you can envision a giant bobber, a 2-man bobber, it's basically a tsunami survival shelter.
Very interesting. Very interesting. All right. Well, you've got my interest there, Peter. So, again, it's January 11th through the 15th. What's the admission price? And tell our listeners about a discount they can get, too.
Well, a straight ticket to the show is $10. But every single day of the show, we put a 2-for-1 on there. So, basically, mom and dad, the 2 decision makers, can come in for the price of 1 admission.
That's nice.
That's great.
And parking, is that free, or is that going to cost you some money?
Well, it's going to cost you some money. It's the city, county. Everybody's got to get their piece. But the nice thing is, we stepped up a few years ago because Wednesday, Thursdays, and Fridays seem to be really tough. That after work ends for people to come out to the show. So basically, from 5 o'clock until the show closes, we give free parking. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday only.
Well, that's a great reason to head out there to the Expo Center. Again, it's the Portland Boat Show, folks. If you want to find out more, if you want to get a discount coupon, go to this website. It's otshows.com. otshows.com is the website to find out about the Portland Boat Show and all the other shows that the O'Loughlin's put on throughout the Northwest. Peter, thanks for telling us all about this.
I appreciate your time. I really do. Thank you.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Next on this Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, we're talking to Austin Mosier. He is the owner of Austin's Northwest Adventures, LLC. He guides a lot in eastern Washington and central Washington, and even though it's the dead of winter, you've got some good fishing that's going on right now, don't you, Austin?
Yeah, we're getting ready to start up there on Lake Roosevelt for those trophy kokanee and some rainbows as well. They're having a really good rainbow year up there. It's already starting to show some really nice rainbows, and the kokanees are just now starting to show up too. So I'm headed up there this week to get started pre-fishing, and I start guiding in January.
Well, folks, if you want to know how big these kokanee are, pick up a copy of Northwest Sportsman magazine. Look for the Iserline ad, because Austin is holding up a couple of kokanee hogs. Those things are as big as sockeye salmon.
They are. These fish were as big as a lot of the sockeye I was catching in the Columbia River this year. And, they're anywhere from 19 to 24 inches up there. The state record came out of there. It was 6 1/4 pounds out of Lake Roosevelt, and we're hoping to break that record here in the next year. And we're gonna see. I've heard of stories of guys catching 21-inch fish already this year. So
amazing,
it'd be really good.
And what's the drill for catching them? Are you basically trolling a Dodger and Kokanee Pro or something like that behind it?
Yeah, we're trolling like tight line spinners from Yakima baits, different Dodgers. I'm using a fast limit Dodger. I use the Double D Dodgers. They work really well. The Squitter Cha-Chas for kokanee up there. And that time of year, you're catching the fish in the top 15 feet of the water column. They're feeding on the surface, and I'm running some small plugs as well that just dive down about 10 feet deep. Got to get them back there 100 and 150 feet behind the boat, because then fish kind of swim around your boat, and then they circle back in behind you and run right into your bait.
I understand. We've got to go, Austin. But, folks, if you want to go catch some huge kokanee, contact Austin. His website, austins.northwestadventuresllc.com, or give him a call, 509-668-0298. That's 509-668-0298. Thanks, Austin.
Thank you, John.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and we are talking to Kelly Hawley. He's with Tom and Jerry's. It's a boat dealership out of Mount Vernon, Washington. And Kelly, I understand you're going to be at the Seattle Boat Show pretty quick.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's going to be happening next month. It runs January 27th through February 4th at CenturyLink Field there in Seattle. It's a big show. It's a huge 9-day show.
As a matter of fact, it's billed as the biggest show on the West Coast, which is pretty amazing, because I know Los Angeles has a show this month, and there's others. Portland's got a show too, so this is a big deal. And it's not just CenturyLink, but there's actually an on-the-water portion of the show that's taking place at Lake Union.
Yeah, that's true. You can go in and look at all the stuff that's in CenturyLink Field itself, and then they'll have a shuttle that will go down to the lake and take you down to some of the bigger boats down there. So, yeah, it's a great show. They do a fantastic job every year.
So, Kelly, when it comes to the boat shows, I know that everybody is rolling out their new stuff, and everybody's rolling out specials. What are you going to have this year?
Oh, yeah. It really is the place to go see just about any kind of boat they build, especially for the Northwest. So we pretty much specialize in our Kingfishers and our Hughes Crafts. We will have a brand new Kingfisher there. Funny story, it started out as a 32-footer, but it's ended up as a 34-footer. And it's going to have triple Yamaha 300s on it. It is going to be really something else to see. So if people get a chance, come to our booth and take a look at this brand new boat. It'll be the first one ever built. It's a prototype. After this one, they'll be building more, but it is just an amazing-looking boat.
So tell me more about this boat, a 34-foot boat. What is this meant to be used for?
Well, the nice thing about the aluminum boats is that most people, they're dual purpose. I mean, this is a boat that if you want to go out and spend some time in, a weekend or a week, you can do that. If you just want to go out and do some fishing, it's great for that too. So it's just a good all-purpose boat, and it's just pretty tough to go wrong when you have something that will meet both requirements.
You know, you and I have talked before, a 34-foot boat. I mean, that seems to me to be ideal for like cruising the San Juans, going up the Inside Passage, maybe even going to Alaska.
Oh my gosh, yes. In this boat you can do it. And the neat thing about this boat is that Kingfisher, they also make a 33-footer, and they call it a 3325, and it's a huge boat. It's tall, it's long, and they do a great job on it. They can only build about 4 a year because there's so much detail into that boat. This particular boat is a lower profile boat, so it'll probably meet more needs than what the 33-footer will do, and I think the production is going to be better on this one than we've had with that 33, so we're really looking forward to it.
What are some of the amenities that you're going to find on this boat?
Well, of course, you know, there's shower and heater and refrigerator and generator, and it's going to have a nice big cuddy in it, plus it's going to have a little stateroom down below. So those are things that you usually don't see on fishing boats, but they're going all out on this one.
Well, it sounds fantastic. Anything else?
Fishing's good. If you're fishing out in the San Juans, they're catching a lot of fish. They're not huge. You're not seeing big fish, but you know, a lot of those 6 to 12 pounders, if you want to venture out in this weather, it's been pretty good fishing.
Well, and you called it. We talked about a month ago, and you said it was going to be good this month, and you are correct. So that's nice to know that the blackmouth season up in the San Juan Islands is going off. How long do you think that's going to keep up?
Well, as long as they keep the season open, you're going to be seeing some fish. There's a lot of those resident blackmouth fish in here, you know, they're immature Chinook, and they just hang around here, and they'll be here till they close it up. So it'll be pretty good fishing. You know, weather's a little tricky this time of year, so it's not going to get a lot of pressure, but the people that do go out will probably do quite well.
Well, there you go. So go to the boat show, go fishing the San Juans, and stop by Tom and Jerry's in Mount Vernon. What's the website we should steer people to?
It's tomandjerrys.net.
Tomandjerrys.net. That's Tom and the letter N, jerrys.net. Go ahead and check it out. Some great deals for you there. They've got a great deal of inventory, too. It's tomandjerrys.net. Kelly, always a pleasure to talk to you.
Hey, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we are checking in with Mark Delaney. He's with Kingfisher Boats out of Vernon, BC. I understand that you're going to be at both the Portland Boat Show and the Seattle Boat Show with some really impressive new boats.
John, that's right. Portland, January 11th to the 15th. I can stick my neck out and say that we probably got the newest, the largest amount of newest product to show this year at the show. Starting off at the Sigler's booth, we've got the first walleye-specific heavy-gauge welded boat in the world that's going to be shown there, the 18-foot Warrior. And, the walleye fishery on the Columbia, as most of us know, is a very active fishery. The second largest walleye in the world was caught there at 25 pounds. So we're going to appeal to that fishery here with a heavy gauge product, and we're pretty excited about that. The new 20-foot Falcon will be complementing the 18-foot Falcon that Sigler's is known to sell very well. So we're excited about that. Just across the aisleway at Stevens Marine, Stevens will be showing our brand new 22-foot Escape hardtop. It's a walkthrough, but great styling, built from the ground up. It's going to be a popular selling boat, I can tell. And to complement that, our Pilot House designed 23-foot Coastal Express basically adds to that Coastal Express lineup that Stevens Marine designed for us. So Kingfisher very excited about Portland show, which is going to follow up almost immediately at the Seattle show on the 27th. And again, we're going to be working with Tom and Jerry's Boat Center. They'll have the 22-foot as well, the Escape hardtop, the 23-foot Coastal Express, and our 20-foot Falcon. And I think Mr. Hawley suggested that we're going to have our new 34-foot offshore, first of its kind in the heavy gauge welded sector, John, and we're going to be featuring a triple Yamaha 300 setup. So the boat is really designed to appeal to destination cruising as well as hardcore fishing. Very excited about that new boat.
Well, Mark, I'll tell you what, you definitely do, I think, have the most new stuff that's coming out. Getting back to the walleye fishery, I'm really glad you're focusing on that because personally, just between you and me and all the listeners out there, I am convinced the next world record walleye is going to come out of the Columbia River, and it's probably going to come during the winter months. And you have to have a boat that'll take a beating because that wind comes up on the Columbia, especially around Umatilla and Boardman, and you've got to have something that'll take it. And I'm glad to hear that you've got a boat that's going to do that.
Absolutely, John. We've got 125 sides on it, 1/6 bottom. This boat is tough. It doesn't need a lot of power to push it either. We're running it with a 115 Yamaha. Very excited. Live wells in it. Pedestal seating that you can move to the bow area and to the transom to allow you to cast from both areas. It is designed strictly for multi-species fishing on the Columbia. Very excited about it. It'll be the first time that anyone sees that boat will be at the Portland show at the Sigler's Marine booth.
And tell me a little bit more about the Falcon.
Falcon's our best-selling line of boats. It comes in 16, 18, and now the 20-foot model. And this is a very competitive space in heavy-gauge welded boats. So our approach was, let's make it bigger, let's make it wider, let's make it deeper, and let's make it thicker than any of our competitors and offer it at a good, aggressive price point. And that really been successful for us. Our 18-foot boat is a top seller, and Sigler's Marine does a great job of putting together their own custom package for that boat. And great lines, really good-looking boat in the showroom as well. It fishes great.
Well, folks, whether you are looking for a Kingfisher boat for the saltwater, freshwater, check them out at the Portland and Seattle Boat Show. Again, Ziegler's or Stevens Marine or Tom and Jerry's Boat Center, all three of them carry the Kingfisher line, and these boats are making a really big splash, pun intended, among fishermen here in the Northwest because they're good boats, and people like them, and people are buying them, and people are using them. We got to go, but is there a website we can steer people to find out more?
Absolutely, John. KingfisherBoats.com. That's where you'll find us. The website for 2017 is about to launch in 48 hours here, so we're excited about showing the new products there. But KingfisherBoats.com is where you'll find us.
There you go, folks. KingfisherBoats.com. That's Mark Delaney with Kingfisher Boats. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Mark.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Limit out with Kingfisher welded sport fishing boats, the fastest growing brand of heavy gauge welded aluminum boats in the Pacific Northwest. There are 4 new exciting models for 2017. The popular Falcon model is deeper and wider, and walleye anglers will love the 18-foot Warrior. If you want to step up your game in the saltwater, check out the new 22-foot Escape Hardtop and the 23-foot Coastal Express. Fish the good times with Kingfisher welded sport fishing boats. We understand because we fish too.
Tom and Jerry's Boat Center in Mount Vernon is Washington's largest Hughes Craft and Kingfisher aluminum boat dealer. As a leader in sales, service, and fun on the water, Tom and Jerry's only purpose is to make sure you end up with the right boat for your family's needs at a price that will make you smile. Whether it's a new Hughes Craft or Kingfisher or a new Yamaha or Honda outboard, Tom and Jerry's can take care of all your needs. Check us out at tomandjerrys.net, and we'll see you on the water.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Now's the time for great winter fishing near Pateros. You can experience the fun of ice fishing at Patterson and Rat Lakes and terrific fishing for trout and walleye on Rufus Woods Reservoir. Howard's on the River in Pateros is the perfect place to set up your base camp for winter fishing adventures. Howard's on the River is next to the best restaurant in the region, and the convenience store has everything you need. Book your reservation at howardsonthe.river.com.
In Humboldt County, something wild happens in the wintertime. Thousands of visitors swim underwater to Humboldt shores, seeking partners of the opposite sex. We're talking steelhead. January to March, more here than anywhere else in California. And we celebrate with fishing and photo contests and $10,000 in cash prizes. Special access, spawning and restoration tours, films and festivities for the entire family. So drive, fly, or swim underwater to Humboldt Steelhead Days.
Sometimes it's okay if you're loud. Sometimes it's best if you're not. Silent Strike offers the quieter performance. Silent Strike is the world's only functioning .223 subsonic ammunition. When you need both performance and stealth, no matter the situation, Silent Strike is the best performance you'll never hear. Find out more at allegianceammo.com. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by the American Shooting Journal. It is the monthly magazine that covers the firearms and shooting and tactical scene throughout the United States. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Speaking of firearms and the shooting sports and tactical operations, we are talking with Jeff Mullins. He is with Allegiance Ammunition out of Virginia. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be with you.
Jeff, I'm really excited about talking to you today because you manufacture 3 different types of rounds, and each one is very unique. And so I thought we'd just kind of talk through those and how they're different than your standard rounds. Now, especially when it comes to AR-15 style rifles, a big problem that law enforcement has and the military has is a lot of these rounds, there's just too much penetration. They go a little bit too far or they fragment a little bit too much. Isn't that correct?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
So you have basically taken the .223 round and have done something different with it. And we'll start off with the first one, the Tech Strike round. This is a 70-grain .223 round. Tell our listeners more about the Tech Strike.
We were approached by an agency that was looking for a round that would not penetrate a 3-millimeter thick stainless steel pipe when shot directly at 10 feet, from a distance of 10 feet. Now, 3 millimeters is not very thick at all, and stainless steel is not a real hard material to puncture. And then, 10 feet doing it at that distance. And they were looking to guard sensitive areas that they didn't want any collateral damage done, but they still wanted to stop the threat at 200 meters. And everybody else said that it couldn't be done, and whenever they approached us and asked us, they gave us specifications. My first thought was, I'm not sure that can be done either. But it took us about a year, and we developed a bullet. It's an 80-grain bullet now, and we manufacture using powdered metal. Ours is not a lead core bullet like everybody else's. We use a blend of powdered metal put together to reach a certain density that we want, and then we blend it to get the reaction that we want whenever it hits.
So checking your website, you market the Tech Strike round as being used by security folks, law enforcement, or otherwise around nuclear power plants, refineries, oil and gas wells, crowded areas, VIP protection details. Again, to limit collateral damage. I think it's a great idea. And let's talk about your next round, the Silent Strike. Mm-hmm. This is a subsonic round. What does that mean exactly?
Well, we're the only company in the world that has been able to take a round and make it run and function, full function in an AR-15, an M4, an H&K 416. No modifications to the weapon. Just put a magazine in, rack it back, and you're ready to go and shoot and operate at subsonic velocities of only 1,000 feet per second.
So this being a subsonic round, does that mean there's less noise and it's almost like a silencer-produced round?
Yes, with it. Now, it works in conjunction with the silencer. Whenever you have a silencer on the gun and you're using the Silent Strike, you can literally be outside the door and shoot it, and the people inside the office or the building will not be able to hear you. In demonstrations that we've done, when we've had people to come to our facility, we'll be sitting in an office, and one of the things that what they're there for is either the Tech Strike or the Silent Strike. And I'll start one of the employees shooting it at 75 feet away, and he'll make a shot while we're talking, and then he'll just continue to make a shot. And then whenever he gets up to the office door and he makes a shot, then sometimes they can hear it, sometimes they can't. but it basically sounded like a large air gun going off.
Wow. And I can only imagine that police SWAT teams or law enforcement SWAT teams and special operations units with the military have got to love this. It being subsonic, how does it perform in terms of penetration and lethality?
Well, we've been working, we're constantly working on that round, and we now have that round to whereas it will fragment at the low velocity of 1,000 feet per second. And, if you go slow, you're able to penetrate deeper. And with frangible, you usually have to be going fast to get good frangibility, but we've worked with that bullet. It's a 120-grain bullet, and now it's so designed that it will fragment 16 inches inside of a gel block, which is just phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely, especially considering the fact this is a subsonic round. That is very counterintuitive, but very amazing, really interesting there. Last but not least, you've got the Power Strike round, and this isn't just for .223 rifles, it's also for 9mm handguns and .380 handguns.
Yes, we took the 120 and we turned it. We were able to find a powder that we were able to push at higher pressure, and we turned those specialized bullets into a Power Strike line, which is basically a high-velocity version of the Tech Strike and the Silent Strike. And in the videos that we've shot, the high-speed videos, it will actually, the Power Strike, pick up the gel block. It's a 17-pound gel block, and it will pick up that 17-pound gel block and knock it completely off the table about 8 inches up in the air. And your standard .308 can't even do that.
That is amazing. So this is obviously ideal for self-defense, but also for hunting, I would imagine, with the .223.
Oh, it's excellent for hunting. Power Strike 120, where it's a tungsten bullet, it is more expensive, but it works no matter where you hit the animal at, because this bullet reacts against fluid. Whereas other bullets, they're solid, they're going to shoot straight through, and you've always thought that you had to have a blood trail until now. This bullet reacts whenever it hits soft fluid-filled tissue, and that's what makes it fragment. And whenever it fragments, it goes inside and it makes multiple vertical, horizontal, permanent wound channels, and it shocks the central nervous system and shuts it down from overload. We've noticed that animals, whenever they get hit with it, they freeze. The muscles tighten up for a few seconds, and then they release, and then they go down. It's an excellent round for hunting.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. If you are looking for a great round for self-defense or hunting, consider the Power Strike. If you're looking for a subsonic round that's not going to make noise, especially those of you out there who are SWAT operators or Special Forces operators, the Silent Strike is around for you, and the Tech Strike is great for using in sensitive areas where you don't want to cause a lot of collateral damage. Where can folks find these rounds? What's the website we need to direct them to?
AllegianceAmmo.com.
That's AllegianceAmmo.com, AllegianceAmmo.com. Start off your new year with some new ammunition that's very specialized indeed. Jeff, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
Turning towards outdoors news, officials are looking at how well they handled huge crowds at Glacier National Park after nearly 3 million people visited this year. This, according to the Associated Press and the Flathead Beacon, which reports that's a record high. And it comes as the park celebrated its 100th birthday. But officials say the spike in visitors has impacted this park in northwest Montana and surrounding communities. Parking lots were constantly full, and rangers say they often had to call tow trucks for those parked illegally. The National Park Service also said it had to set up portable toilets due to long bathroom lines. But Superintendent Jeff Mao said visitor feedback was almost always positive, and officials say they will try to maintain the hype surrounding the park as they prepare for what they expect will be another busy year. And by the way, if you've never been to Glacier National Park, you should join the 3 million people who went there. It is a gorgeous place, and if you're into wildlife watching, there's plenty to see.
It's time for the Trail of Shame.
Shame, shame on you. Shame, shame on you.
This week on our Trail of Shame, we once again find ourselves asking for your help to identify poachers who went on a killing spree. This time, it happened in Nevada. From the Nevada Department of Fish and Wildlife, we learned 8 mule deer were illegally killed and left to waste over the course of 3 weeks in September near Mount Charleston, outraging the sporting and non-sporting public alike. Since the original announcement, individuals and organizations have come forward to increase the reward offered for anyone with information to help solve the crime. The latest donation was as $10,000 offered by Nevada Bighorns Unlimited, bringing the total reward to $18,000, one of the largest rewards ever offered in Nevada for a wildlife case. If you know anything at all about who is responsible for this killing spree, please contact the Nevada Department of Fish and Wildlife. Whoever did this needs to be behind bars and not out in the field.
Shame on you.
We hope you have enjoyed this week's broadcast. Thought I'd let you know about our Sportsman Show schedule. We are actually going to be at SHOT Show from January 16th through the 20th. Right after that, we'll be at the Washington Sportsman Show in Puyallup. Come visit us in the booths. I'll be at the American Shooting Journal booth at SHOT Show during the afternoons. I'll have my own booth set up next to our presenting sponsor, Northwest Sportsman Magazine, at Puyallup. And after that, I'll be with the Northwest Sportsman folks at the Portland Show, at the Pacific Northwest Show. That's one of the biggest you're going to find on the West Coast. If you get a chance, go to our website, AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. You can catch a podcast of a recent show and find out what's coming up in the week ahead. We've got a Facebook page, too, and I hope you'll like our page and go ahead and post where we're giving the pair of Leupold binoculars away. What state you're from where you listen to us. Once we get to 1,100 likes, we're going to give away that pair of Leupold binoculars. They're really nice. Another place to hear our show is on the internet at WRVO Radio. The website, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. It's an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming from all over North America. The website again, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. The new year is here, and I hope God blesses you greatly in 2017. I also hope you get lots of time to spend outdoors, whether you're fishing or hunting or shooting or hiking or whatever else you enjoy doing out there. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
We've got one last segment for you on the show this week. That's right, it's the Pacific Northwest edition. We always like to talk about fisheries here in Washington State or British Columbia. One that you probably haven't heard about lately is the trophy walleye fishing that takes place in the Columbia River in February, March. Austin, tell our listeners more about this fishery.
Yeah, the Columbia River is it's a great fishery to get these big golden-colored trophy walleye. I fish some of them in January and February, and we're catching them deep, and we're catching them on jigs, slow-moving presentations, and it's a cold water fishery, so they're pretty sluggish, but these are all pre-spawn females are the big trophies that everybody's looking for, and we like to catch those fish and take some photos and turn them loose, and then we'll keep the males, the smaller males, for table fare. So it's a good fishery, and it's a lot of fun.
Folks, there's a really good chance that the next world record is going to come out of the Columbia River. There's 20-pound fish are very possible in the Columbia, and you've got folks that are coming from Minnesota and these walleye states that are coming to the Columbia to get the walleye of a lifetime. One question for you here before we go. When it comes to the Columbia River, I know a lot of folks target down by the Tri-Cities and Umatilla. Where are you fishing?
I fish a lot up here below Rock Island Dam and in the Wenatchee area for those fish. I do a lot of lake fishing as well, but I do some of the Columbia River stuff here in the wintertime, looking for those big trophy fish to get some really awesome pictures. And so I'm kind of in this Wenatchee area, kind of my home waters, and that's what I know best.
Well, folks, if you want to come over to Wenatchee and have a shot at a really big walleye, give Austin a call. His website is Austin'sNorthwestAdventuresLLC.com, or give him a call, 509-668-0298. That's 509-668-0298. Thanks, Austin, and Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too, John. Thanks.
Backcountry hunters and anglers, the men and women working hard to keep public lands in public hands. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business.